The city of Oxford has about 20 to 25,000 residents. Our police department is comprised of about 70 to 75 employees now, most of those being sworn personnel. The surplus program that's run through the state has been extremely beneficial over the past 5 years for the police department. We've been able to obtain in excess of $4 million worth of equipment, and that ranges from aircraft to push brooms. I mean, if we find a use for it and we can obtain it, we go ahead and we do that.
The 1033 LISO program, LESO is Law Enforcement Support Office, originated years ago. We are responsible for allocating surplus military equipment that is more along the lines of weapons and Humvees and MRAPs to various police departments across the state. We work with the folks in Battle Creek, Michigan. That's where their headquarters is. It's a division of DLA, Defense Logistics Agency, which obviously falls under Department of Defense as well. So we work with a lot of those folks from the Pentagon on down. They've tasked us, the governor appointed me in May of 2014 to run this program for the state. It was formerly under ALEA. It was a mutual agreement between ALEA and ADECA to take the program over. We're now allocating property such as rifles, guns, Humvees, MRAPs, on down to desk chairs, anything that a police department could use. All police departments are eligible. All sheriff's departments are eligible. Certain state agencies are eligible. Department of Conservation is a good example. They have arrest powers. Surplus
equipment, we've been able to utilize it in many different ways. I mean, from a tactical standpoint or from an officer safety standpoint, we've got some vehicles that we've been able to use to assist officers who have had encounters with suspects with firearms. And just the mere presence of this vehicle would deter that subject from taking any further action. And then you go away from that from a logistical standpoint or just an everyday operations. We got ice machines, we have bookcases, we have pens, pencils, binders that we utilize that we don't have to buy. So when an officer needs a piece of equipment, he's more than welcome to come get that.
We charge an application fee to participate on an annual basis, but once you pay the fee and you get all your paperwork fixed, the property is available to you free of charge.
My personal philosophy on the surplus programs that are available, the citizens have already paid for it once, and we shouldn't have them bear that burden again. So if we need it, the first thing we do is we look for it on the surplus side. Once we find it on the surplus side, of course, we obtain that equipment. There's minimal cost in acquisition going to pick it up, gas money, for example, but you can take a $30,000 or $40,000 piece of equipment where we only spend maybe $50 in gas to go get it.
LISO program was in the press a lot after the Ferguson, Missouri incident. Everybody saw the MRAPs and the Humvees going through downtown Ferguson, and some of the property was being used inappropriately, and it got a lot of national press attention. Since then, there's been lots of restrictions put on this program, and there's still restrictions coming out almost monthly. There's a White House working group, so we're getting guidance from the White House on down on how to allocate certain property, which property we can allocate, which ones we cannot.
There's rules and regulations with this program just like with any other, and you have to be able to follow those.
There's two sets of property that we deal with on the LISO side. It's controlled and non-controlled. But the controlled property is what gets most of the attention. I mean, what we mean by controlled is that the Sheriff's Department or the LEA that's using the property never actually retains ownership. It's more like on a loan program. They are responsible for inventorying it every year. They do have to have pictures of it every year. It's just much more accountable on their end. But at the end of the life of the property, they are responsible for turning it back into the federal government. So all the weapons, anything up armored or that would be strictly military, then that goes under a controlled item. The uncontrolled items would include desk, chairs, computers, laptops, anything that's used for day-to-day, any type of consumable item.
I think that this program is essential for all law enforcement agencies, not only in the state of Alabama, but throughout the country. It takes a lot of work. You have to be a good steward of the program, but that's really the only cost associated with it.
We mentioned the executive order. Touch a little bit more on that. It came out October 1st. There's some more requirements that came down from the continuous working group from the White House that we mentioned. And basically what that's doing is placing more accountability on the elected officials that's ultimately responsible for this property that comes through our program. Specifically Humvees, they get lots of attention. So if Montgomery County is interested in acquiring some Humvees, they would have to get a letter from the county commissioners of Montgomery County, and all sheriff's departments fall under county commissioners, so that's the ultimate elected official responsible for them. So we have to get a letter from Montgomery County commissioners allowing the Montgomery County sheriff to receive any type of controlled item, riot gear, MRAPs, Humvees, aircraft, weapons, that kind of stuff. But what it's doing is placing more accountability at the citizen level. So the citizens actually have a right to say whether, yes, my town wants a Humvee or an MRAP, or no, we do not. And obviously the commissioners are supposed to be the voice of the citizens. So it keeps it all at a local level where you don't have just one guy within an organization requesting all this military property that the citizens or the leadership of that community may not be interested in acquiring.
I became familiar with the deck about 1.5 years ago, and I called the surplus chief and spoke with him, and we set up a meeting and talked, and he broadened that spectrum of surplus property once again for us that we didn't know about, and we started obtaining property from them. The most recent piece of equipment we obtained was an observation tower, and we plan on deploying that at our new sports complex. And that's a $80,000 or $90,000 piece of equipment that we saved. We spent probably $1,000 on that. But if we can get that piece of equipment and utilize it for just a small percentage of what we'd originally went and paid for it, then we're going to do that. So DEC has been instrumental not only on the surplus side but the grant side as well. So I'm glad to be a part of that program.
We are responsible for doing many on-site visits, which we do on a weekly basis, to ensure that the training is up to date, all the paperwork's up to date, the property is being used appropriately. So we have a lot of oversight. We have a lot of hands-on with the LISO program, and it's really beneficial to everyone in the entire state.
So some of the things we obtained through surplus have been pickup trucks, panel vans, trailers, boats for our dive team, ice machines, dustpans, brooms, refrigerators, desks, TVs, computers. Some of the maintenance service people here needed some mop buckets. So we obtained 12 mop buckets, so they can have those. It's something we didn't have to pay for. We shouldn't have to if we've already paid for it one time. And we use that philosophy every day, and we obtain a lot of stuff.
But there's many one officer police departments across Alabama that solely depend on this program. They would not exist without this program. They depend on us to get all their weapons. They would not have any weapons if it was not for us. They would not have any vehicles if it was not for us. On down to the phones that they use in their office, the laptops that they use in their police cars. So the list just goes on and on.
Being good stewards of a program that offers free equipment, that's a small price to pay, very small.